Hello, everybody. I'm curious to hear if you can all hear me. Just checking out using Zoom for my YouTube video for the first time. And it looks like I'm now getting feedback from the audio here. So looks like I'm online. Yeah, it's been a hot minute since I've last streamed. I think last time some activity happened on this YouTube channel was like more than a year ago. So yeah, been kind of busy. Okay, thanks for confirming, Paco, that you can hear me. Yeah, I've been kind of busy with all sorts of stuff, and lately working on a project called PubKey for the Solana Grizzlython. So there's a Solana hackathon going on right now. It's called Grizzlython, and I'm building a product called PubKey. And PubKey is a way to basically unify all your social identities into one profile. I think current recurring problem of a lot of people is that you have a lot of social identities online, and there's no clear way to kind of unify them. So I might know you on one social media platform, but I don't know which accounts you have on other social media platforms. So with PubKey, you can all kind of link these together and then build that into a fancy link page like Linktree. And this is all verified by data on chain. So today we're going to be working on this. But before all of that, let me actually go into our Discord, which you should totally join, by the way. Let me do an everyone here. Everyone, I'm streaming live YouTube. There we go. This one here, and also share it on Twitter. Let me actually retweet this. Come and join, retweet. Okay, good. So yeah, this is what I've been working on for the Grizzlython hackathon, and now submission date is gonna be in 3 days from now, so Tuesday at midnight. So I basically have like 3.5 days left to knock some shit out. And so where it is today. Okay, cool. Oracle, one of the people from the Discord, is joining as well. Nice. So one of the things I want to be looking at today is actually building out the page. So let me just to register what we have today. It's Saturday, about 6 p.m. Local time, 7 actually. Let's go ahead and create a new burner wallet, and let's just sign out this user. We should now be signed out. Let's double check. Yes, I'm very much signed out. And in Phantom Wallet, my favorite wallet of all times, you can create new burner wallets with a few clicks. So instead of going through the whole dance of storing your mnemonic phrase, you can now quickly create a burner wallet and call it something like livestream. And there we got it. Bam. And now we have a burner wallet for the live stream. And that's it. And I can use that one to authenticate, and I'm basically a new user. So for me, who is building a site that's logging in, that's using your wallet to log in, this is a very, very big deal. Makes it very easy. So we're going to want to use the wallet. I'm going to verify this connection here because I'm working on this locally. And then this approval screen is basically the login message. There you go, bam. And what happened here is that I logged into the system, and now I'm in the basically the waiting room where I'm waiting to be invited. So in order to make sure we can control how many people are using the platform, it's good to have an invite system so that people just don't sign up all of a sudden, but you can gradually give access and test stuff. So that's what we built here. And let's see. In order to get invited now, I need to get an invite code, which I can create, of course, because I'm the admin. Also, this is all running on localhost, so this is not the real deal. So let me actually go in here. I'm early. So I might have an invite here. Yep, I got an invite code, copy that one here, accepted that one here, bam. And now I'm invited, and you can see that bman invited you to PubKey. I'll zoom it in a little bit because it might be a bit small. And then the first issue that I'm seeing here is that this little icon doesn't show my avatar. And this is something I worked on yesterday, where I basically changed the relationship of these things. So this is when we fetch the user invite. So let me actually go and pop up my editor, because that's one of the things I like to do when I'm streaming, is get my editor on the screen quickly. So let me actually get my WebStorm that's got up here. We're going to do this. Let me actually drag this in here. I'll set it next to Brave. There we go. Okay, cool. So this one down to the bottom. Bam, there we are. And what we're going to do is accept the invite. So you can actually, I can accept my own invite. Why not? And so what we want to do here is make sure that this bman thing, so it does have the username, but it doesn't have the avatar. So one thing I generally do when I want to look up this arbitrary piece of code, and I'm not sure where it is, I just start searching for the words, and this will pop me right into the place where I use this code. So a little bit of a trick there. Now, this is actually the user link. The user link is the thing that we're using. So the user link takes the user object, but then it actually takes the profile.avatar URL. So this is basically a relationship. For those of you that are aware of Prisma, we can totally check Prisma schema and see that the user model actually has a bunch of profiles as their relationship, and one profile in specific. So this is basically our default profile. So the idea is here, when we list this, we ask for this user invite. We basically ask like, hey, what is the invites that got you here? We do ask the user, but we don't ask for its profile. So if my naming is correct, this should be user get invite method. And that brings me right here. So user get invite methods, this is the method that we're calling. And what we see here is that we do include the owner, but we don't include the profile. So let's change this to an object and say include profile, make this true, save. And then once we refresh, we should see our profile here. Okay, good, awesome. Profile image. There will be more of these things during the site. I just changed this relationship yesterday, so I will be finding more of these. But let's do a quick first commit fix show user profile on invited by link. There we go. Okay, awesome. And let's see what we got here in the chat. So yeah, a few things. I saw Abel Lafuente. Abel, ¿cómo estás? ¿Qué más? Good to see you. He's an OG from the channel. And Paco, Mr. Muppet. We have Shahul from Morocco. Hey there, Shahul. Nice to meet you. I love Morocco. I've been there a few years ago. Hans Hannes, OMG. Hey, Hans. Good to see you here. And G. Hilderis, hello. And D. Oracle, hey, Oracle. Good to see you as well. Oracle just came in from the PubKey Discord. So everybody also go join that Discord. You can go to pubkey.app. Then in the bottom, you'll find all of these links to our socials. So you're still early. If you're coming in right now, you are early. So it even gives you the number ID. So I'm 0. And let's see what's the maximum number we have. Actually, this is something I wanted to do. I wanted to show this PID. It might not be interesting enough. So we got the 30th user number 30. That's what we got here. Awesome. Now, one thing to note here is that we see the same issue with the icons, but this is because these users don't really have a, these don't have an avatar because they don't have a profile linked. So most of these people, they just signed up, but they never went on and created a profile, which is basically, you can see like this is, the user is basically inactive. They never activated. Now, one of the things I want to do today is work on the user activation flow. So this all works pretty well, but let's get back and drag this into a user that's new. So this user just signed up. This was the user we just tested. When we refresh, we should now see the icon. Yeah, Bman invited you to PubKey, so that's all good and well. But what we want to do right now is actually in here do a bunch of things. So I think the word no profile is not something that should be displaying here. That's just something that I used for debugging. So let's go ahead and move that out of the way. Just replace it with no. I'm not going to make commits for all of these tiny changes. So yeah, actually what I realized, right now we have this fancy button here that says create personal profile, which is kind of cool. I think I want to stick with that. And what this does is actually creates the profile in the database. So it got successfully created. And now we're here in the database. And now it's not default by default. So this is something great thing to fix. So if a user creates a profile, then we want to make sure that it's the default profile by default, if that makes sense. So let me actually go into the admin of this this instance. Let me drag this back here and then go to admin dashboard. Actually pull this up to the side here. Go to the profiles and then delete this profile that just got created, because we want to do it again and it should actually do some more things. So we now don't have a profile. So what we want to do here is figure out code that executes when the user creates a profile. So user creates profile. I recently improved all of the naming. I've been going on this for years. You can check the history of this channel where I was all about structure and naming and figuring it out. I still mostly work with the same convention. I just sharpened it. So I'm basically using the same style of building apps the last time you checked any stream here, if you ever have checked any stream. I'm using the same tools, but the main difference is front end is now mainly React. It's basically in Solana ecosystem, it's the most common. I worked on teams that all had React, and yeah, it's kind of my go-to framework right now. I'm still eager to check out Angular, new Angular soon, but I'm going to wait till signals are there, fully in there, and I'm gonna build something cool with Angular again. So yeah, but that's kind of an A side. I still work with the same tools. So and I recently changed my naming of basically any public method to be the actor that does something. So it's either user, admin, or anon. Then a verb, what they're doing, like create, get, update, delete, all that good stuff. And then the model they're acting on. So profile, plan, invite, etc. So user create profiles, then the logical method to go look at when a user creates a profile. Okay, cool. And what we can do here, so we can figure out if a user already has invites, and now if a user already has profiles. And what I did in this app was add the concept of a core user. So I got a user with all its relationship, something I can reason about within the internal of my app. And I know that this core user actually has a, this has the profiles on them. So it should be sufficient for me to just verify if there's no profile length, that means you're the default page. And I need to figure out how to express that. But yeah, let's check it out. So this is all not related. This is related. So we can say first profile is, well, if you don't have a profile, that's basically already there. And then if we create the profile, we want to set this, but I think it's set as default. It's not set as default. Let's not think about how it's done. Let's check how it's done. Okay, so we're looking at the profile model, and it has a relationship to the user. It's the user property. So if the user property is set, it's set default. Actually, I think this is not very named very well. Fix me. I'm gonna add a fix me here. Check if this is the right name. Would be default, maybe. Huh, actually interesting that it suggests things. Primary might be a better term. I'm actually going to make a note of this. Might be calling it primary profile, not default profile. Primary. Okay, great. So took some notes here. So a few things that I've started picking up the habit. I started picking up the habit of adding fix me's to the code. So when I now go back in the project, I can actually search for fix me's and see if there's stuff to do. And also when I just see the code and something is off, like, hey, fix me, check if this is the right name, because the chances are non-zero that I come back here at some point and see this relationship name and am confused. So when the next time I'm still confused and I'm not building out a functionality or fixing a bug like I'm doing right now, I might actually change this, but I'm not going to be tempted to change this at the spot. So cool. So we know what the schema is. We know what the relationship is called. We don't need to apply this change. So let's skip this. Also, let's close a bunch of unrelated stuff because we only want to be working on the user profile right now. So user is going to be set. But this is only going to be set if we don't have a first profile. So what we can probably express this if there's a user.profile, just be undefined, otherwise connect to the user ID. And I think this should do it. So what we should see right now, let me uncomment it and show the bug. So we're at least sure. So once we create this profile, it's not default. I need to make it default, which is another step. And we try to minimize the number of steps. So with this line of code in place, it should be default. But in order to test this, I need to delete this profile. And currently, user can't delete their own profile. So luckily, I can go in the admin and delete the profile here. So that's that. And now we come back here, and let's see. Now, interestingly enough, if I delete profile, okay, good, it's gone, whatever. So let's see what happens. So if I now do create personal profile, it will be created. Oh, I need to enable the line. Confusing. It's been a while since I've been doing live streaming and coding and explaining at the same time, but I'll get the hang of it. I'm happy to be back. I hope some of you are, at least 2 people watching. So that's probably me and my wife in the other room. But hey, that's all good. Okay, screw me. I'm just going to enable the line right now so that the next time I won't forget it. So enable the line here. Now it's there. Delete the item here because then it's gone. And create a new one. And now say, hey, okay, this one, make default. Yes. Profile could not be loaded. Okay, profile could not be loaded. API user profile service line 132. Well, this is actually the file where I'm in, 132. Profile could not be loaded. Ensure profile owner. Ensure profile owner. Do we call that? Okay, let me actually change this to a better way of doing this. So if there's no user profile, we want to set default profile. We actually have a method of setting the default profile. So let's just do it this way. And the reason of doing it is, first, I hope it actually works. So that's kind of nice. That would be good. Second is, if we want to ever do stuff when changing the default profile, it's nice to have this encapsulated in just one default method. Hey, Oracle, I'm super glad to see that you're still here. And Paco as well. Oh, actually, it doesn't count my own viewing as counter. Yay, that's awesome. I got 2 fans. I love you guys. I really do. And Oracle, just curious where you're from. If you want to share. If you don't want to share, feel free not to share. I'm doing this because the camera goes out of Zoom. I don't know if that's really a good thing or a bad thing. What might actually help is to add some more constant light. Anyway, let's not be bothered. We're here for the code. So, Paco, what do you think about all of this? Can you make any sense of it, or do you just like watching people build stuff? Just curious what you think of the platform, and if you have any idea what it does. While I continue on fixing this bug. So, okay, let's see. I don't have a profile right now. I create a personal profile, and it's still not default. Okay, let me actually see. Okay, we need to say if not user have a profile. Oracle from Nigeria. That's amazing. Very cool. Are you from Lagos? I heard that's an amazingly, stupidly huge city in Nigeria. I would love to visit at some point. Can you recommend it? There you go. It's now default profile, default identity. Amazing, amazing. Now, there was a small bug here. It says default profile. I'm not going to worry with that right now. I also think we can just get rid of this once. So, okay, default profile. And something else that I figured that might be kind of nice is actually, no, let's leave it for now. So this is good. This is one issue that's done. Now, let's see. Next up, what I want to do here is make this a bit less messy. So there's a few things that we want you to do. And okay, so let's dial back in a little bit. What needs to happen for these pages, for these profiles, is that they're actually verified on chain. Verified. So we actually need to verify these profiles, and how it works is by having them linked to your Solana identity online, and that way it makes it censorship resistant. So that's a cool characteristic. Now, what we see here is that we actually do have these GUM profiles already linked. So one of the next tasks we have is actually linking up our profiles with our Solana accounts. And I think that's a nice next step. And but before I go ahead and do that, okay, it does exist on DevNet. So let me actually see. So this is the type GUM profile. What we're missing here is metadata. So we do store the GUM data, but the GUM profile, but we don't store its metadata. So let's check out if we can add that one. Paco says he's clueless about all of this. I'm just watching your stream to see you. You're in a good health. I'm still a gamer, so that's what I'm focusing on. That's amazing, Paco. Actually, I started doing games myself for the first, like the last time I got a game console, I didn't buy it myself because I got it. That was the original OG Game Boy. I think it's the, what is it? 9098 Game Boy. Paco, I'm fairly sure that you remember this because we're from the same age. Actually, I'm a little bit older than you are, which is it's always noticeable. Anyway, this was the last time that I had a gaming console. So that was like, what was it? Like, I don't know, 30 odd years ago. And I got this one a few months back, not 3 months. I just got the Switch OLED and this little beast here. And yeah, it's amazing. It's quite a step up. I'm still loyal to the brand Nintendo, as you can see. I went from the Game Boy to the Switch OLED, but it's been amazing, and it was nice to unwild for a little bit. But I'm still not really a gamer, so I always tend to come back to the code that builds these games. Oracle, you also know the game. You also played it. Did you play with the OG Game Boy? Because that basically tells you that you're also old, just like Paco and myself are. Game Boy ya está aquí. Epa. Yeah, interesting. So, cool. Yeah, gaming, very interesting. And also, so Paco, just for your understanding, we're building apps on Solana, the blockchain. These apps are decentralized. That means that all the content you can see here doesn't live in my database per se, but it lives on a blockchain. So that's kind of cool. And the interesting part is that you can still access and hold your data without depending on my servers to be online. So if you add stuff to PubKey and it's verified by PubKey and it's stored on chain, if I ever pull the plug out of my project, you can still run it yourself. PubKey will be free and open source, and you can just host it yourself if you know what you're doing and just get it back. So I think for gaming assets, this can be definitely an interesting thing. Anyway, let's see what we're at. I think I said like 5 things that I wanted to fix, and I'm not getting there yet. So let's make sure that we can link profiles to identities. I actually think I want to have a user verified profile method. A verified profile gives you a way to, hey, verify this profile, and we'll figure out what we actually do. But one of the things that we need to verify is like, hey, if there's an account for this, and if the account exists on the network where we expect this to exist. So let's do that. Oracle says he played with the 16-bit Sega. Oh yeah, the Sega, what was it? The Master something system, Sega system, early 90s. The Mega Drive. The Mega Drive. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, OG, dude. Can't help it. You must be around your 40s, I guess, then. Yeah. It's interesting. Seems like a few days ago, but actually it's like half a lifetime. Anyway, edit profile. We're going to have like a verified profile. And there's 2 ways I can go about it. From the front end to the back end, or from the back end to the front end. Doesn't really matter for any of you, but let's first add the button and then make sure it works here. So let's clear this one up. And we want to go to where we have the edit profile link. And what we want to do here next to edit profile is a verify profile button. And we're going to say verify profile. But this is not the right place. I want to do it where this thing sits. So where we have a user model. Okay, cool. We're going to say verify profile. And on click, we for now just log out. Log out verify, and then, okay, cool. First thing is we got the button. Now, second thing we need to do is actually go to our user profile resolver. This is what I do with naming. and we do an operation user verify profile, and this is going to be very similar to user sync profile. So let's actually just duplicate this and rename this verify. Copy the name here and add it here. Then say create this method. It's going to be user ID and the profile ID. And the first thing I want to do is make sure that I'm the profile owner. Thank you, Copilot. Then what I want to do in verification. So in this specific case, we're going to do GUM verification. What we need to check out if does the user have a GUM profile? Does the user have a GUM user? Does the user have a GUM profile of this type? So that's two things. Does the user have the GUM meta of this page? Paco, I'm not sure if you're checking right now, but what you can see here is that my editor, the code editor, the thing I'm writing on, it's giving me suggestions on what I do. This is AI at its work. So I'm just adding a few bunch of notes. And AI figured out what is the note that I want to give next. And this is basically pretty much spot on. So this is pretty impressive. We actually want to do some more. Does the profile have page links? Like, we can do some more checks before. So we can actually take the profile here and say, if the profile doesn't have a page, this is already the first one. So this is one way to go about it. On the other hand, let me actually think of this a little bit more. Yeah, it is impressive. It's crazy to have AI help me write code. It's I don't think they're gonna get me out of a job anytime soon because it's unable to write like a whole platform yet. It's definitely crazy how often this thing is like spot on with exactly what I want to write next. Amazing. I'm so fucking lazy that that's just amazing. We're going to add a project profile verification type. And this profile verification type is going to be called profile verification. And what we're going to do here is add a bunch of Booleans that says has page. Or, oh, we're going to do it differently. We're going to say page. This is a page count. And this will be a page. So that's that. Why are you not happy? Ah, okay. Let's just clean this up for now. So page is there. What we want to do as well is we want to have the GUM user is of type account. These can actually be optional. They should be optional. Let's not bother with this at the moment. Network issues, I'm back. Yeah, I can only imagine in Nigeria, you must have some flaky internet at some point. It might not be as well, by the way. So we can say GUM user, we can say GUM profile. Let's actually make this alphabetically ordered, GUM profile meta. So these are the accounts that we need. So with page, we can check if it has a page, if it has a domain. And that's all we need. So let's profile verification. We don't need a profile verification for a domain for that. So let's actually export this one here, profile verification. Then go back to our profile service and then make sure that this thing returns a promise of profile verification. Sure. GUM user, GUM profile. And now it's just a matter of figuring out these profiles, which all makes it a bit more profile meta, and then finally the page here. Okay, cool. So instead of this, we can just say profile.page. And why is this not happy? Profile is missing in type, but it's required in type that. Page entity here, pro verification entity here. Right. Yeah, and I'm creating a big circular dependency. Let's not bother with the page at this moment. Let's just do the profiles. So what we want to know is if we have accounts that are linked to these. Okay, do we have the user's public key? We don't have it. I think we don't have this. Okay, we're going to be a bit hacky here. We're going to do a little bit of data mangling. Yep, make sure we get this error message here. And make it wait 2 seconds. We're actually already doing this here. Oh, this is so ugly. But I can use this stuff to more bootstrapping core. Actually, friends, I'm going to go to the bathroom real quick. Be right back with you. Yes, yes, yes. We're back. We got 3 people watching now. Okay, that's amazing. Yes, Oracle, I stand the code. I got a standing desk since a while, and I love it. It's amazing. One thing that I don't think is very cool is that video has been mirrored. Actually, is this normal? Yeah, it's better this way. Yeah, I think it's better this way. But I'm not sure. I need to check that it's updating. Anyway, so what we're going to do here is a dirty little hack. We're going to figure out why is this happening. Let's do this cache. Miss. Let's make that a bit less silent. Cache. Miss. Just don't show the results. Just show the result length. Yeah, whatever. That's not a thing. Let's just ignore it. Let's just not put all that shit in. Good. Okay. So what are we here? Okay, let me actually flip this one over. And let me actually charge my phone, which is totally unrelated to the stream, but it's important. So Oracle, what's the climate like in Nigeria at the moment? I'm curious to hear. Is it warm? Is it always warm? It feels like it's been always warm, but that's just me knowing nothing about your country, honestly. I started picking up interest in coding, but an Astrakhan server, see how he codes makes me pick interest. Yes, coding is very cool. Yeah, I can highly recommend diving into it. If it's something that seems interesting for you, it might very well be. It's there's never a boring moment if you dive into coding. So with that said, let's get these messages in here. So what we want to do is make sure all users have a public key. So there we are. Okay. So we're going to first reload because whatever. And what we then want to do is this ensure user has public key. Sure. And we're going to create this method here and make it private, and then actually jump back where we were and get rid of these and these. Then bam. This is where we're at. Okay, and sure, make user got the public key. So what we want to do, making this async, is get a list of users, and this data.user.find many where public key is null. This is exactly what we want. Ha. Users, and then let's first print out the number of users we have. So that'll gonna be users.length. And should see that right away here in the bottom. Users.length, where is it? Where is it? Ensure user has PubKey. There you go, 4. There's 4 users without a public key. Okay, something else that we want to do to verify this works is actually show this. Where do we want to show this? We want to show this in, at least in the admin. So if I'm going to go admin users, I want to show it here. I want to show it below username because that's where it needs to be. So we're going to fix this screen. We're going to be looking at the web app admin side where we say username. No, where we say, I'm sorry, people. Oh man, where we say username. And this is actually, it's in the, actually called users table.tsx. TSX. So what we can do here is add different things next to each other, and public key. We should be able to link this to /account/.public key, and the size is extra small, and the color is dimmed, and the weight is tiny. And now we should go back here and then see that we don't have a public key. And we can message this and say no public key. So, okay, now we see here no public key. I actually want to make this extra small. So no public key. And we can also see this, that right here, the public key field is empty. Now, this is something we don't want. What we actually want is that we take your Solana identity and then take this profile. So now that we know this, and now that we figured out what is actually broken, we want to go fix it. So do this public key here. And in this service, in this API core service, so now we have these users. So let's loop over them. Yep, that's the way. Okay, oof, it is gonna be, it's pretty spot on. But what we do want to make sure that, okay, if the user doesn't have an identity, then okay, I need to include the identities. I need to include the identities, and I actually can say I need to include the identities where provider is identity provider.solana. So that's that. That's nice. So I'm gonna get the accounts that don't have a public key, and I'm gonna get their identities, and then if not identities length, just continue. But we do want to log this out. Has no public and no identities. Yeah, so that's good. Now, this is then the public key. That's also very good. That's very smart of you, public key. And then we just update it. Now, this should be it. And then that should be it. Let's, for the sake of it, get user by ID. Let's refresh the user so we actually cache this data. But we also do want to make note of this. So we say update it. And then we're going to log this out and say this.logger, updated user, username with PubKey, this one. And this should get us a bunch of messages. Updated user this, updated user that, updated user bman. Okay, awesome. So now if we go back here, we should see that they all got a public key linked to them. Great. Great, great, great. Okay, so that's good. Now we can kind of assume that we have this. So few things to do. One of the things that I need to do is actually commit this change and push it out to DevNet so that everybody on DevNet will get this public key set. And that's needed for the things that I'm going to do afterwards. So let me just quickly commit this. Not going to do the verification of the profile. I am going to commit this one. So ensure user has a public key. There's a bunch of comments here. Let me actually clean this up. Ignore this, ignore this. So this is the method. ensure user has public key. So we find all the users with a public key, with no public key, and get their identities. Make sure that they have an identity, get the public key, and update it and refresh the user. So yeah, that should be good. This one, yeah, sure, why not? This one as well. Profile verification, no. This one as well, let's also make that one a thing. And this one, we also want to add this one. I do want to change the color here. So I want to say color is dimmed. Color is, I actually do want to change the color. It's fine like this, whatever. Verify profile, no, we don't need that one for now. And that brings us with a focused commit that says has public key. Yeah. Fix, no, this is a feature. Feature, make sure it's a fix, make sure all users have a public set. So I'm going to push this up and going to keep an eye open on DevNet to make sure that this is the way it works. Let's go here, keep an eye on my build. Yep, so that's open. And then let's already look at DevNet. Here we are. And then if we check users here and I'll check my user account, then I'll see that my user account does not have a public key set, and it should be. Then after this, we're going to actually make the public key field required so that at least now we know everything is set. Let's make this my default profile, by the way. Not sure why this happened. There we are. That way my public key is always set, and we can basically assume that we always have the public key around. Now, we've been around for an hour. Oracle says it's been very hot weather for quite some time. Just experienced cool weather since this week because it's been raining. Nice. Yeah, I got the idea that Africa is always warm everywhere. Not sure. It's probably not the case. But yeah, that's the idea. Would you recommend visiting Nigeria? And if so, when should I come? What's the best time to visit? What should I do in Nigeria? Curious to hear your thoughts. Okay, cool. So with all this, we now can assume that any user has their profile. So let's actually make that change in schema.prisma and say public key model user. Make sure that the public key is just required. And actually unique. Yeah. Now, if I want to make this change locally, just to make sure that I don't have a database URL set. I do have a database URL set. This is so dangerous. Okay. If I want to check this locally, then actually go here and change something real quick. One second here. Awesome. Great. So yeah, I was doing some experimentation here, but these ones are there. Good. Okay. So if I now do a push of the database changes, it will start nagging and it will start saying like, hey, you're adding a unique constraint on the public key table, and this will fail. Let's actually make the change and see what happens. Yes, Oracle opens. Oh, yes, I'm back. Okay. Oracle open source. I think that's a great idea. And I think more stuff should be open source. I actually think the only way an app like this can be ever successful is if it's open source, because yeah, it doesn't work if I only host PubKey and don't make it open source. Then why would you ever want to connect data to it if it's only going to be used on my centralized server? So yeah, this needs to be like that. Okay, I did make these changes. I did push the DB. So let's actually go here into DevNet and figure this one out. In the local net, I still got all my users and everything is good. Great. So I'm going to be waiting on doing this, and main build is going to be here. Keep an eye on that one. All seems to be running well, so that's good. All seems to be gunning. But it will fail, like DevNet will break in a little bit. We can be fairly sure about that because of the change I just made. Now, once we got this, we actually working on verifying the profile. So what we were is going to be here, verify profile, and I'm going to say user verify profile method. And I'm going to be going in here and say user verify profile. So now that we got this, what we actually want to do is say, hey, give me the accounts of this user. Accounts, find many, where? Solana DevNet. So yeah, that's definitely a thing. And where the identity linked, I think identity ID is in your identity. Okay, so I first need to figure out which identity is your identity linked to your public key. So actually, we're going to fix this properly in here. So ensure user active. And here we're going to say core user, and where core user happens. Okay, so we're going to make a small change, and we're going to say core identity is one of core identity singular. And now we need to figure this out. So we need to say identity is the first identity. Now that's not really true. Identity is the identity where provider is Solana, sure. And identity and identity dot provider ID is equal to my public key. Yes. And that should give us what we want. And now we should always have the identity that is the default identity for this user that's used to log in. And it took a little bit to get to this point. But yeah, writing software is an iterative process. So what we can say right now, if the profile.owner.identity profile owner include profile. Actually, I want to have a core user here as the owner. Let's just whack this in. Let's not do it this way. Let's actually go back to verify profile and let's just get the owner separately. Const owner is this one. It's all cached anyway, so this is not a very expensive operation. And now we can say, okay, let's start. If you don't have a public key, error out. If you don't have a profile, error out. If you don't have a identity, error out. Bailout. I don't think there's really a difference. Let's do it like so. Alphabetically. Nice. Okay, so we can be sure that the user has an identity, it has the owner profile, and it has it like this. And now we're actually going to fetch this profile. So, and then we're going to say, give me all the accounts where network type, where network is Solana DevNet, and where identity ID is equal to the owner identity ID. So we're going to get all DevNets accounts for this. And then let's actually log this out and see what we got here. So this should give us a bunch of GUM accounts. So we're going to actually call verification and we need to enable this. We need to hook up the button. So we're going to take this sync operation here and we're going to call it verify profile. And now we're going to go to the verify profile method on the website or the button verify profile. Here we are. And then what do we want to do here? We basically want to call out into just a verify profile method. And that's going to be nothing special. We're just going to create it here, I guess. Now, I think this method, this function has a bunch of operations. Yeah, so this is not ideal, but it's also not too bad. So I got all the logic that works with the profile on one page. Let's actually run with it. Let's worry about that after the hackathon. So we're going to say the set default. This is a great candidate. So what are we going to do? Verify profile, user verify profile mutation. So that's there. Let's take the rest of set default as well. Just copy it. Actually, copy it in here. We don't need a confirmation, so we can get rid of the confirmation here. Actually, bump up the screen a little bit. And then we don't need to return anything. What we do want to do is say verify profile mutation. I'm going to pass in the profile ID. Yeah, that's all good. We're actually going to load this in, so TypeScript's happy. There we are. Verify profile verified, I guess. Let's see where we're at. So if we reload again and then hit the button, we should see. Hey, why is this not working? Server not listening. It should be listening. Ah, okay. Huh. There was actually an error message that I didn't see. Okay, so Oracle says about visiting Nigeria during the festive period. It's pretty cool. I have a lot of traditional celebration that's gonna keep a tourist happy, but don't visit in the northern part. Not safe. Visit east and west and south. Okay, awesome. Shaq TV, hi, welcome. If I can do it in VI instead, if you're talking about the editor, I guess I could, but I prefer WebStorm. That's the short answer. User find many public key null does not work. Okay, where public key is null, it's in the API. Let's see if this one works. Okay, now something else break. API core data service, line 108. So API core data service, one line 108. Let's get back to 108. And what we do here is provide the public key. Now, create user with identity. Where is this used? Create user with identity. Well, okay, let's add public key next to it. It's only used in one place. Create user with identity, public key, string. Actually before the PID. Public key here, and make public key here, and then switch these spots to this one. That should be that. See if we have more errors. Okay, Prisma. I need to do a not null check at other places as well. Prisma, where is null? I want to make a null expression. Yeah, okay, public key must be null. Yeah, okay, that's because it's already done. Let's check our container. That's not running right now. It is? Interesting. Let's go to our DevNet machine, see what happened. And here we are. Let's log in and then go to the admin section. Users. Okay, we do have public keys. This all went well. Great. Okay, and that's it for now. I guess I gotta run. It's been a huge pleasure. Okay, let me actually get back to Oracle. Haven't gotten involved in the hackathon before, but gonna go work to get involved in this. Yeah, do. I can highly recommend it. And if you're interested in coding, start coding. Really, it's the best advice I can give. You can go to Free Code Camp if you know how to spell it, which I don't. Free Code Camp is amazing. This has hours and hours and hours of content, and you can learn about anything. Here's a bunch of courses you can do. Another advice is to just start working on what you think is interested. If you're interested in Solana, start working on Solana. It doesn't have to be smart programming, smart contract programming. You can do basically anything. You can build an app or build a game. But yeah, try and have fun in the process. Another thing to dip your toes into coding can be Bubble.io, which might be a bit contradictory because it's no code, but it will get you into the mindset of being able to create an app, think about the app, think about the layout, think about functionality. What happens if I click here? What happens if I click there? So this is definitely an impressive way to build an app simply by doing drag and drop. You can build pretty cool stuff here. And if this piques your interest, then you might gonna go on with actual code down the line. So yeah, I'm gonna wrap it up here. This was kind of a trial stream to see if it works. Does seem like it works well with Zoom. So yeah, got that installed. So I'm gonna stick with that for now. Any guys, thanks everybody. Thanks for watching. And I hope to see you all soon.